good to be here again. And I think the timing, or let's say the importance, like every year we tell each other how important our industry is, and every year it's getting more important. And I think it also reflects the responsibility that we have as an ecosystem. It's great to see that so many people are here. So let's talk about 1.5 degrees. We named our company after the Paris climate goal, because in the bottom line, that's exactly where we want to contribute. You heard about me before, so I had the privilege to work for companies that were all about technology. So at Sonnen, we tried to figure out how does a battery need to work to actually store electricity from a solar system? How can I actually invent kind of tariffs that you have electricity sharing? So it was much about how do you actually become climate neutral? What technology do you need? What components? Very similar at Tesla. So what do you need to do to actually have mobility available? Sexy, cool, clean. And now we are focusing a lot on execution. So we think that the biggest opportunity, but also the biggest problem out there is how do you really scale up and bring a really high performance engine into the execution. So it's a bit like, we are missing a Henry Ford in clean tech execution. We're missing something like Amazon in clean tech execution. We're talking about millions of buildings. There's enough money. We just made a sizable round, and we see that there is a lot of interest from real estate investors coming in. So there is no lack of money. Even now, there is no lack of money with a war pending. The technology is there. I mean, sometimes it's on containers and not where we need it, but at least the technology is available, and we see it's all about execution. So what we try to do is we think of every building as a building that needs to be freed from fossil fuels. Yeah, it's a bit dramatic, but who knows me knows that I like to be a bit dramatic. Yeah, so if we look at the building right now, or even at mobility or all the energy we have, societies in the last 40 years are paying money to big oil. We all know they make a lot of money right now also, so they're benefiting from what's happening right now. And that money is going to autocracies all over the world, which are again funding since decades disinformation and wars. That's basically what's happening now. It was the same in the 70s, it's still the same. And we think, and I think most clean tech companies see it exactly the same, we think it makes sense that we try to go car by car, building by building, and take it out of that kind of fossil circle of life, yeah, and that's what we want to do. So basically, at 1.5 degrees, we have aggregated now about 10 companies who are focusing on installation and sales of heat pump, solar charging, so everything you need to get the building in every aspect CO2 neutral. And what we like about it is the money is being invested in companies here in Europe. It's being invested in tech that is also coming from China, obviously, but also coming from great companies here. So Sonnen is a very big customer of ours. Not the other way around. We are a customer of them. And we are producing jobs. So we are breaking that kind of cycle, but we need to do this really fast. Yeah? And what does it mean? It means we need to change about 50 million buildings in Europe in the next 10 years. Yeah, and if you look at companies like ours, but also Enpal and others, we are still talking about 5, 10, 20,000 buildings with a solar system only per year for great companies that are already unicorns. So we really need to scale this up dramatically, and we need to be faster, better, and cheaper. It's very simple than, for example, any gas heating, any oil heating when it comes to heat pump. The same goes for mobility, and the same goes for solar, but I think solar is an easy game already. We need to be capital market ready. So we see that the next big players are solution providers. And these solution providers, they will need massive amounts of cash. So, and we believe that capitalism actually can do the rest if we live up to these requirements. Yeah? And the potential is huge. You all know these numbers. In Germany, we just decarbonized 10% of our energy over the last 20 years. So it was a lot of money, a lot of time that we invested. So there's lots of stuff to do. And at 1.5 degrees, we do this by being or trying to do what Henry Ford did to the car. We try to do exactly the same, from selling a solar system, a heat pump, and a charging device, all the way to the energy service. So that's what we do. We have now 16 locations, about 500 people working, 36,000 systems are installed. Next year we try to push towards 75,000. We had a revenue of 23 million. We hope to get to 215 already this year. We were founded last year. We are cash flow positive. We have a 2-digit EBIT margin, and we are aiming to more than double next year, which will be driven by inorganic growth as well. So we are continuing to buy companies. And to get to impact, I mean, to just move the needle in any meaningful way, we need to get to 10 billion euros just in hardware revenues by 2030. Otherwise, our company doesn't have any sense. If we don't get to that scale, at least in some way, we are not contributing in a meaningful way. Yeah, and this is what we are committed to. I'm already out of my time, so just the last point. We are not only innovating on the workbench, but we already launched a tariff that is based on a device that is connecting all those devices that we are selling. So heat pump, charging, solar, inverter are being connected by Heartbeat. Heartbeat is an energy management system. We have a lot of cool partners that are working with us. And in the end, already today, we are a utility in Germany. We are a utility in Sweden. And we are trying to get an extra benefit out of the systems that we are installing by putting them into the flexibility market. You remember we did this also at Sonnen for PRL. Yeah. So and we already have a tariff in Germany where customers do get a great saving from Heartbeat and interconnection. So we try to solve two issues at the same time: scale the workbench, be pan-European, be international, get a lot of shit done, but at the same time make sure that from the beginning everything is interconnected and is actually available for the energy market. And I'm 2 minutes over my time, so I'm just saying thank you and leave it with our first store that we have in Hamburg, opening soon. Thank you, guys.